Chernor Bah now joins me live from the capital, Freetown. Mr. Bah, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for speaking to us on Africa Today. Just give us a sense of the state of the situation in the Freetown at the moment.
Thank you for having me. Freetown is calm. Citizens are going about their normal business. Tonight, obviously, we still have a curfew in place, which is a restriction on movement so that we can allow our security forces to go about the mopping up exercise, as it were, that they continue to find those who are responsible for the attempted coup, which failed, which we have now designated the incidents that happened on November 26th as a failed coup. But frankly, you know, my kids went to school today, all kids went to school, markets are open, people are really saying that we can no longer be cowed by those who seek to use violence to intimidate us. We're resilient people, and that is showing across our city and across our country.
So, Mr. Bah, we understand that 13 military officers and one civilian have been arrested. What do we know about these individuals, the military and this solitary civilian? Is he the one who was intending to take over leadership of Sierra Leone?
Well, we cannot say what their hierarchy was or who was intending to take over leadership. The investigations continue. What we can say is that we have very credible intelligence that these arrests are based on. We were able to apprehend some of the leaders of the attacks on Sunday, and they have been providing our state security forces with intelligence that have led to some of these attacks of these individuals that were either involved or have information that will help us to solve the details of what happened. As we've made clear, some of them are indeed state security forces, and so they are involved, and one of them is a civilian. That's all we can say for now, but it's an evolving situation. Investigations continue, and once we have more and we can say it, we will come to the public and say it.
Mr. Bah, it's interesting that they targeted military camps and prisons, and this is still described as a coup. Ordinarily, I mean, I'm no coup expert, but ordinarily one would not expect that military camps and prisons would be targeted. Any reason you feel they targeted these areas?
Well, they targeted a military armory. This is where we store majority of our military, weapons. So these are former and serving security officials. What we now know from having interrogated some of them is the intention was to gain enough ammunition that they will now use to go and take over even more important state infrastructure. So if you are aware as well of the history of military coups in Sierra Leone, they often also involve attacks on our detention facilities and freeing of prisoners. Because the intention, in fact, when I was growing up in 1997, the military coup that happened that brought Major General Johnny Paul Nkrumah into power, he was serving a term. He was waiting for trials at the Pademba Road prisons. They opened up the prisons. They freed everybody else, including him. And they went on and took power, and he became the military head of state at the time. So there's a history of attacking those facilities as the forerunner to eventually trying to seize power. The only difference in this case is that they failed.
Now, how widespread was this effort? I mean, we take into account that you've arrested 13 individuals. Do you expect to make more arrests?
In fact, we have a list of about 29 people that are wanted by our state security forces. Some of them we've since we put that list out. Some of them we've also apprehended because our civilian populace are helping us. They're providing information on the whereabouts of these individuals. Some of them are hiding in their homes. Some of them are hiding but what we know is they're in retreat. So we have a whole list of these folks, again, based on the really incredible work of our state security forces and the leadership of our president, who's been at the top of the situation and making sure, obviously, that it's balanced. It's balanced in that we're following the fullness of the law. We're staying vigilant, but we're also respecting our democratic traditions and respecting the rule of law of Sierra Leone.
Well, you raise the issue of the law and allowing the law to take its course. What are the charges that will be brought against these individuals?
And it will be very premature for me to tell you that now. But we have laws in Sierra Leone, and you know, everything we've just described, which is attacking a military installation, that would be a crime. You know, seeking to subvert the states, causing the kind of chaos that they caused on that day, the insecurity of the states. Obviously, orchestrating the widespread release of prisoners, that would be a crime. But ultimately, treason, I suspect will be part of them. But that's, you know, it's going to be a call that intelligence and law enforcement officials will make, and then they will bring that. But what we can assure our friends in the international community and the people of Sierra Leone is that we will stick to the letter of the laws of Sierra Leone. One of the questions that somebody was asking me the other day was whether these people will be subject to the death penalty, which we proudly abolished in our country. And we said, we're not even thinking about it. The laws of Sierra Leone does not include the death penalty, and that's how it will be.
Now, we talked about 20 people being killed and several others also being injured. Are these individuals that were killed part of the contingent that was trying to overthrow the government, or are they civilians or soldiers within the military barracks that you speak of?
Well, we gave a breakdown of all those that lost their lives on the day, and that included majority of them were military officials, but it also included some police officers. One of our correctional service officers, a prison guard, was killed as well. And I believe at least 2 civilians who were uninvolved were also killed. So it's a combination. And then 3 of the assailants also sustained fatal injuries.
Now, coming to the re-election of President Julius Maada Bio a few months ago, this result was rejected from what we've gathered by many of the opposition parties. Is it, do you think, one of the catalysts that has led to this desire to try and overthrow the government? And
I wanted to correct something else, by the way, that you.
Before you come in with that, I suppose my second question is, do you envision that you will have a fair amount of stability going forward?
Yeah, but first I think it's important to just make clear that the international community, as you claim, did not outright reject our elections. They did have questions, but they didn't reject the elections. And in fact, they have all recognized the democratically elected governments of Sierra Leone, by the way, including the Americans. They did that immediately after the elections. They did not question the legitimacy. They questioned aspects of the process, and they questioned and they kind of showed sympathy for some of the questions that the opposition had. It's also important, as I've maintained in multiple interviews, that even by the worst account of our elections, our president emerged the winner. The question was whether he should have gotten as much percentage as he did, but there's no doubt that the president of Sierra Leone was duly democratically elected, and by the laws of our country and the processes that we followed, he is the elected leader. That's 1. 2, following the elections, and yes, the opposition was raised questions and decided not to participate. They decided not to participate as a protest. Since that, the opposition and our government have engaged in a mediated dialogue, very peaceful, in which every side has articulated what the demands are. And those demands included that our president will make efforts to continue to make the country even more inclusive, that we will set up a cross-party committee that will review our election management systems. All of those things have been done. The opposition is fully participating, and this is just about, last month the opposition came back and now are fully participating in governance. This committee that I just spoke of was inaugurated only about 2 weeks ago. So we are clear. As far as we know, there's no correlation between the political process and the disagreement that we had, which we have embarked in a meaningful, productive process to resolve, and we're moving forward, and those who seek to take advantage of what they perceive as these political differences to sow chaos and to seek to gain power illegally. Even the opposition came out and strongly condemned the actions of these individuals who sought to subvert our state.
Okay,
so I think it's important, to separate those.
All right, I'm happy to leave the conversation there. Appreciate your time and certainly wish you peace in Sierra Leone. Thank you so much for speaking to us on Africa Today.